President Obama laying it all out at a fundraiser in Los Angeles that he's fighting for your hopes and for your dreams.
I look forward. I say to myself, what can we do for those Americans out there? That's what I think about when I wake up every morning. That's what I think about when I go to bed at night. And that's what this campaign has to be about. About your jobs, about your families, about your hopes, about your dreams. That's what we're fighting for.
Now, this campaign might be about your hopes and your dreams, but what about your reality? According to a recent poll, Americans are feeling their lowest in 2 years since the president took office. A whopping 70% think the country is going in the wrong direction. To be more specific, in fact, 57% disapprove of how the president's been handling the economy. Looks like the change Americans want is now in the Oval Office. Joining me now is radio host Nancy Skinner. Nancy, that New York Times poll, shocking. I mean, really a revelation, particularly since it came from the New York Times.
Yeah, let's dig a little deeper into that poll, Charles. I mean, I think they should carve onto the Washington Monument, it's always the economy, stupid. I mean, just that's because we know how it goes. In that poll that you're talking about, you said 50% disagree of the way he's handling the economy, although overall his job approval was 47%. And Congress's disapproval was 75%, and Boehner's was 34% approval. So, you know, it is, here's the fact. The president was talking about, we had to get out of a ditch. We were in ICU. And people, just the progress, the jobs, which is always more important to people than cutting the deficit, that's taken longer than they want. That's why they are pessimistic. But the president is saying, keep on this track. Let's make these investments in alternative energy and in our future, and things will get better. That American dream can be restored, but not just giving tax cuts to the rich is what the Republicans still want to do. They want to go back to the ditch.
I got to tell you something, Nancy. Number one, most people are still in the ditch that they were in when the president was sworn in. Number two, we're talking about the commander-in-chief. We're not talking about the Speaker of the House or Congress. We're talking about a man who seems to be skirting his responsibilities and playing the blame game and also playing politics of envy at a time when we need concrete decisions. I have to disagree. Debt and deficit seem to be the #1 issue in America right now, and the president is playing a dangerous game by ignoring that.
Well, if you look at every poll and you ask people, even independents, what is more important, unemployment or the deficit right now, they will say it's unemployment. And, you know, because you're a great finance mind, Charles. You got to grow revenues, too. And so the wealthiest Americans, the top 2%, we should have their tax rates go back to the years of Ronald Reagan and Clinton, because we were doing fine back then, and that would help bring the deficit down, and that will help put people back to work. So just having a country where you have this great divide between rich and poor, and that reality, that dream, you'll never get there because there's not enough jobs to even, and then they want to cut state budgets. The safety net that sort of is there when we come into a situation like this, the Republicans want to kill off Medicare, kill off Medicaid, turn it into a block grant, and let old people fend for themselves. That is not the American dream, I assure you.
Well, I got to tell you, Nancy, I think the scare tactics and the fear-mongering backfiring, and when the New York Times agrees, you know maybe something is wrong. But hold it right there, Nancy. Believe me, we're going to see you again in a little while. Government handouts are completely out of control, and it seems like the Obama administration only wants to expand the spirit of socialism in this country. Whatever happened to good old-fashioned self-reliance? Let's ask radio show host Nancy Skinner. She's back along with the rest of our panel. Nancy, what's up with the theme of self-reliance? Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Every time the president speaks, I feel weaker. I feel impotent. Well, not me, but some people.
Don't give me that visual, Charles, on a Friday night here. But you know what? The idea that you are calling Social Security and Medicare handouts makes me and a lot of Americans of that age furious, because they weren't handouts. Those people worked their whole lives off paying into a system that served us well, that got 2/3 of the elderly out of poverty before this. And the fact that Grover Norquist earlier in your show said that what we should do, that he equated welfare reform with, that's how we should treat Medicare. We should have it be a block grant. So everyone gets $8,000, and if your health care, when you're older, is past it, you're on your own. So you're making people out like that they're just dependents and they haven't done anything. Do you think someone would rather get an average of $300 a week unemployment and sit around? But if there were a great job where the median income was $50,000, they would rather have that.
Hold on one second, Nancy. Sadly, there are a lot of people who are in that category. And I will say one thing, Kimberly. You know, when Social Security first went through, the average age of a man in this country was 58 and a woman 62. You can say it was all rigged, it was all a game. Sure, we put into it, but we live so much longer now than we did before. The numbers don't add up. And we're not talking about hurting people now who are seniors. We're saying doing something smart so that our grandchildren may have a piece of this program as well.
Absolutely. You can't be irresponsible and just continue to pay out when our demand and the people living longer, population increases. It is not sustainable. It really isn't. And it's irresponsible for us to assume to just put off the problem for our children and grandchildren and
then
so on to deal with. And that's not going to work.
That's what the president is talking about.
Well, David,
fixing those programs.
hold on one second, Nancy.
He's open to fixing them.
Well, David, do you think the president is open to fixing them? Because it seems like his message has morphed from let's fix it to let me protect it for you from the bad guys.
He's not open to fix it, and frankly, neither party's been open to fixing it. By the way,
because you get voted out of office.
Exactly. Social Security didn't get us out of poverty. Okay, that's a falsehood. Because anything that you take money out of the economy to subsist or subsidize another sector is removing wealth from the economy. It sounds nice. It never happened. Your point about living longer. Social Security was never designed well from the beginning because it couldn't meet medical advancements and advancements in age. That makes it a bad business model.
Yes.
And the only thing you do with a bad business model is change or your company fails.
Speaking of bad business models, Mary, if it was a chest, if we had put all the money, you know, if there was a chest, if we opened it, there would be dust and a bunch of IOUs in there. So the fact is, we do need to clean this thing up anyway if we're going to, even if you support it, you think it's the greatest thing in the world.
But there's nothing wrong with a block grant. I know Nancy had said, like, oh, you're just going to give someone a check for $8,000. I'd rather have that and be able to make my own medical decisions with that money than be in a government program where they're only going to spend a certain amount of money anyway. This gravy train of endless medical procedures isn't going to go on. There's going to be cuts. It's going to, and I'd rather make those choices myself and have the government do it.
Sorry, guys, we've got to leave it there. Nancy, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you get that image out of your head. By the way, there's a whole lot more ahead for our show, too.